WrestleMania is long, isn't it? It's longer than most movie marathons, it's longer than entire seasons of TV, it's longer than being stuck on a flight between two people who chew with their mouth open and breathe through their nose. It is longer than this intro. With so much time to play with, WWE usually do a good job of cramming everybody into the show in some capacity. Like between the Andre Battle Royal and the absolutely not Moolah, don't mention it's Moolah Battle Royal, there's usually something for everyone to do, no matter how inconsequential. But all that's the pre-show, right? And in the minds of WWE's talent, if you're on that, you might as well not be on the card at all. Now, I'm not saying that's because you missed the big payday from the DVD sales, but I am thinking it extremely loudly. With just weeks to go, and dear God, where is 2019 going, WWE find themselves somehow on the precipice of having to leave out some of the biggest names in the entire company. Names that 12 months ago would have been unthinkable omissions. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 huge WWE superstars in real danger of missing WrestleMania. Number 10, John Cena. Now, there was nothing even remotely resembling a public clamour for his inclusion in 2019, but then Kurt Angle announced he was going to retire and have one more match, and suddenly it all made sense. Last year, he got half cut in the front row and put on one of the most bizarre segments in the event's entire history. Yeah, you remember that, don't you? The long-awaited John Cena versus The Undertaker WrestleMania match was a 3-minute comedy squash, and since then we've only had sporadic sightings of his incredibly weird haircut and his new Hadouken finisher. But then suddenly the idea of him ending Kurt's career the same way that his own began felt almost like poetry, didn't it? It didn't have to be long, didn't have to be exerting, it was just two of the greatest ever, closing an important chapter in wrestling history and giving us a genuine WrestleMania moment, TM. Now, personally, I still think this might happen after he's wrestled Corbin, but it wouldn't be beyond WWE entirely to just not bother at all. Number 9, Andrade. We are coming up to exactly 1 year now when Andrade dropped the NXT Championship to Aleister Black at TakeOver New Orleans and got his call up to the main roster, and we were all like, yeah, that guy, he'll do bits. In the 12 months that have followed, he has appeared on the main card of a pay-per-view precisely twice, the Fatal 4-Way at Fastlane and the Royal Rumble match. For a bit of context, in that same amount of time, Tamina has wrestled on 5 pay-per-views. My God. Now a spot in another multi-man match for the US title looked like a surefire bet to get him involved this time around, but now that Samoa Joe is wrestling Rey Mysterio in a Dominic on a pole match, I've not caught up with SmackDown yet, that door appears to be closed on him. Going from a 5-star match to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in just over a year. Surely there is something better WWE can do with him, please. Number 8, Kevin Owens. Is it possible for WWE to book you in the main event of Fastlane and then a month later have absolutely nothing for you at WrestleMania? I'm genuinely asking. Now, it might seem like a bit of a daft question with the answer being no, Adam, you absolute idiot. Of course that's not a thing that happens, but just look at last year. My friend, you had Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin in the WWE Championship match, and you had Ruby Riott contesting the SmackDown Women's Championship. Where were all three of them come Mania? The pre-show. Starting to look more and more like Kevin Owens' return served absolutely no purpose beyond keeping the seat warm for Kofi Kingston, which is, yes, admittedly not that terrible a thing, but at the time of me recording this, they have built nothing for him to do at Mania on TV. Still, if that is the case and he finds himself in the Andre or just not on the show at all, that has to go down as one of the most disappointing returns in the company's recent history. Serious. Number 7, The Revival. Despite the fact that we're getting, and I'll just double check this, 84 matches on a 6-week-long WrestleMania, it's still sort of looking like they're not going to have anything for the Raw Tag Team titles. Somehow. They weren't even on TV at all this week. No match, no mention, no nothing. And the only tag team match they had on the show was contested between two teams who have no interest whatsoever in going for the belts. They've forgotten about them. Given how relieved we all were to finally see the Revival get a go as the division's top dogs and win those belts, it looks like they're going to be doing absolutely nothing with them but carrying them into the Andre. Like, ask yourself, what is the match? Number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura. Literally could have headlined last year. Like, I know they were obviously always going to put Roman versus Brock on last, but if you'd booked it, if I booked it, we probably would have put Styles versus Nakamura, because I think we all assumed that was going to be really, really good. So we could legitimately have headlined last year. And now We've had 12 months of seriously, what have they done with Shinsuke Nakamura? Really disappointing main event feud, bookended by two men just hitting each other in the dick. Then the mid-card, now a comedy foreign jobber tag team. How? Again, do not be stunned to see this man end up in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but given that they only give 2 or 3 of them a proper entrance for that, and Braun's already in there, and he's sort of in a tag team with Rusev, he might not even get to do that. He'll just be standing in the ring with Hawkins and Rawley and somebody off the internet. Nakamura. Number 5, Bray Wyatt. Definitely returning at the Royal Rumble, wasn't he? Then he was definitely going to return to confront Rowan on SmackDown, and he was definitely going to attack Daniel Bryan at the Elimination Chamber to set up a match with him at WrestleMania, and he was definitely just going to come back at some random other point, wasn't he? All of those definitely happening, and didn't. Don't know exactly how many days it's going to be until WrestleMania by the time this video finally goes out, but let's guess 10 or something. The window with which to bring Bray Wyatt back has now shrank to like a cat flap or a horse's arsehole or something small. As a performer, Bray Wyatt divides opinion. I think we'd all agree that he's in possession of a very good gimmick, is excellent on the mic, and can hold his own in the ring, but where the difference of opinion comes is whether or not WWE has booked him so badly you no longer care about what he does. I think there's hope there, most people do not. Now, barring a last-minute insertion into the Bryan Kofi match, which would just be the weirdest thing in the world, or just giving him some random thing in the middle of the card, there's virtually nothing they could do with him at all now. Last year, yes, he made a shock return to help his former nemesis Matt Hardy win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but any appearance like that this year would be considerably more shocking. See you on Raw. Number 4, Hulk Hogan. Right, so when they brought Hulk Hogan back after his years in exile because of the literal racism, there were a lot of opinions, let's just say. I'm not going to dredge any of them up now because, God, I'd rather do literally anything else, but it was, we can agree, can't we? It was controversial. The company couldn't guarantee exactly how fans were going to react, which is why they first brought him back in Saudi Arabia. They didn't think people were going to hijack the show because they were disappointed with the decision over there. Then they did it again for the Mean Gene tribute. These were safe moments. Now, whatever you think of it, he is back now. The company did play a blinder in that regard. They eased him in very safely, and regardless of what you think of that decision, he is now back. But there was no point in doing that unless they were going to feature him at WrestleMania in some capacity, and thus far, nada. He can't wrestle because he's 108, and he can't host because Alexa Bliss is doing that, so there's not really anything for him to do on the show, is there? Which makes his whole massive air quotes redemption arc a bit pointless, really, so, yeah. Number 3, Dean Ambrose. Absolutely nobody knows what's going on with Dean Ambrose. At the minute, nobody. Well, I mean, Dean Ambrose probably thinks he knows what's going on with Dean Ambrose, but given all the stories you hear about WWE's murky internal communications and how bad they are at keeping their performers in the loop, there's every chance what he thinks is happening and what WWE thinks is happening are not the same happening. There is still every chance, and indeed lots and lots of reports, that he is leaving the company when his contract comes to an end in April. If that's the case, then there's not really much point including him on the biggest show of the year, aside to just, a nice gesture for somebody who's given the company the best years of their life. If he does stay, and I think he will stay, the very public wrangling over his contract would feed in to a very nice story, so we could maybe sort of see something involving that. But if not, then WWE are just going to treat him as a lame duck, I believe the American expression is. I mean, after all, if he does sign, it's easy to build him back up, whereas if he's not going to sign and you push him, it's weird to just kill it. So he might not be on the show, is what I'm saying. Number 2, The Undertaker. Last we heard, WWE was still talking to The Undertaker about doing something at WrestleMania. Now, what that something ends up being is absolutely anybody's guess, but they're surely not actually considering having the first WrestleMania without the dead man since 1990. Like, that goes back since before they invented the internet or the Hubble Space Telescope. While his involvement has reduced every single year, we've never gotten this close to the event itself without thinking he was going to feature. Like this time last year, Cena's big quest to get him to appear was pretty much looking like a dead cert. The year before that, Roman had called him out after eliminating him in the Rumble, and the year before that, Vince McMahon had called him his bitch. And yet, thus far, nothing. No strong rumours, no teased return, nothing like that. Just this creeping doubt that the last image of him at WrestleMania is going to be walking away from a half-cut John Cena. Or worse still, that the last sight of him in the company is going to be that show in Saudi Arabia. That bit. Number 1, the Intercontinental title. Aleister Black Ricochet, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. 4 men who Vince McMahon turned to because, in his eyes, there wasn't really anybody in the mid-card currently deserving of a showcase match at WrestleMania. Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, EC3, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Elias, Dolph Ziggler, Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade, Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio. A few weeks ago, Vince genuinely thought none of these men had the requisite star power to shine on the company's biggest stage. Now, yes, some of them have got matches now, but he's not really convinced. Now, it was widely reported that the reason Finn Balor had to drop the Intercontinental title to Bobby Lashley was because they had something big planned for Balor. Obviously, the big thing not being defending his belt that he only won a few weeks previous. Let's just have a quick look at what the options for an Intercontinental title match are at the minute. Shall we? Bobby Lashley versus Jinder Mahal. Yep, Bobby Lashley versus Elias. Yep, Bobby Lashley versus EC3. Yep, Bobby Lashley versus Dolph Ziggler. Bobby Lashley versus Leo. Like, none of these are going to be. They're not going to do that, are they? Even on an 8-hour show. There's nothing obvious. Which is where you'd think the 3 call-ups would come into all this, but obviously Ciampa's injury complicates that. Gargano has been off TV since then, and Ricochet and Aleister Black are being a tag team. So, how do you do it? Right now, with precious little television time to go, there is absolutely nothing that screams WrestleMania Intercontinental title match. Nothing at all. Nothing. Zip, nada, zilch. All. Don't get me wrong, there's lots you can actually do with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So whether or not he even brings the title with him in the first place is another matter entirely. It was on the pre-show when I went to WrestleMania once. That hurt. So there you have it, 10 huge WWE superstars in serious danger of missing WrestleMania. Of course, though, I'm not one of them, am I? Because, well, I'm not a WWE superstar, but also we will be in New York at the WhatCulture live show on the Monday, the day after WrestleMania, that afternoon, so please do come see us. It's going to be, well, we don't know really what we're going to do yet. It's going to be a podcast, which will be good, Q&A, that's always fun. A quiz, we will do a quiz, we promise, and then some other stuff. We've written banter on the poster, which gives us wiggle room, admittedly. Anyway, there are free tickets for that, so please do come see us. Please, please, please. It would be so lovely to see your lovely faces. Anyway, though, the list, yes, let us know what you made of it in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, though, thank you very much for watching. I've, of course, been Adam Cleary, and I will see you soon. Maybe in New York. Maybe. Come, please, please come. God, please come. Bye.